Hey everybody, boys and girls, welcome back. And I apologize for the delay in making a video. I've just been super busy with work, with eBay, and it just seems like every day I've been wanting to make this video since last Tuesday, and every day something comes up. Thursday I was all set, and then my mother-in-law called, and as I believe I've mentioned in previous videos, she's moving, she's downsizing, so is my brother-in-law, he's moving, and I've been combination helping them move, helping them donate stuff, and then I've also been getting a ton of inventory, so I've been getting a ton of awesome, cool stuff that you guys will be seeing as they sell. I've already sold some of the things, and if I get time in this video, I'll tell you about a cool little not experiment that I did, but with a very high sell-through, not really high sell-through, but a really rare Notorious B.I.G. cassette tape. I listed it on multiple platforms, and you'll be surprised which one it sold on. But this is going to be a long video. There's a lot of information that I want to get to. We're going to go down a rabbit hole of e-commerce. A lot of it centers around Amazon, but a lot of it is it's not just Amazon. We're going to be talking about a number of different platforms, but it all relates to eBay. And this is from an article that a viewer sent me. If I have time at the end of this video, I'm also going to look at the stock charts of a number of different interconnected e-commerce stocks. If I don't get enough time, if this video goes too long with the information, then I'll do that in a video very soon. I'll probably start that video tomorrow night and then publish it. I'll probably combine it with maybe like a what sold and then publish that. My plan is to publish it Monday, but I've been actually really enjoying just getting stuff listed. It's really late Saturday night. My sleep schedule has been very whacked over the weekend. I went to a garage sale very early this morning. It was a kind of a bit of a bust, but you have those. So with that being said, I'm not going to monetize this video because I don't know the rules around, because I'm essentially reading you a number of different articles, but I've interlaced them, and then I also added my thoughts to it. I don't know where we're gonna go. Like I've got things down, but I've got some other notes, and we're just gonna kind of see where this goes. But I believe so much of this information is so important, and it's worth discussing. It's worth putting out there, seeing your guys' thoughts, and having a discussion, because there's a lot of things I think that it's not just eBay that are affecting our sales, but eBay's not helping the issue either. We'll get to that. So I think there's 4 different links. There's 3 links, and then there's a link to a video. Everything will be in the bio. So I want to start. So the main article is Amazon's financial shell game. Let it create an impossible monopoly. I've often called what eBay is doing is a bit of a shell game as well. I think they're both applicable. So let me just see here. I've got a lot of different notes. So, all right. And I've kind of, instead of me because I read the article about a week ago, and then I thought about it, and then the week went by, and then I've kind of lost all my thoughts. So what I did tonight, a good portion of early in the afternoon, was kind of cut and paste the relevant things that I feel are important, put it on a document, interlaced it with other thoughts from a few other links. And then, so it's kind of random, but instead of just reading the whole article and I'm trying to cut it down and condense it to the most important bits, trying to save you time, but I also feel like it's worth going and reading any or all of the things that I link and watching. There's a video, I'll talk about that. It's a lot of good information. Definitely will give you something to think about, because what we're experiencing right now is a direct result of some of the things that, well, I'll get to it. But it's important to be aware of things that are going on in the e-commerce universe, to formulate kind of like plans and have like, different, not exit strategies, but have other things that you can anticipate and how you can pivot and build your business and make it more sustainable years down the road. Hope that makes sense. So I'm just going to jump in. Again, it's not like a perfect beginning, middle, and ending, but many doubted it would be impossible for Amazon to attain monopoly power. Even if they became a monopoly, in the sense of dominating sales of various kinds of goods, the company still wouldn't get monopoly power. For example, if Amazon tried to take over a category by selling goods below cost, predatory pricing, then rivals could just wait until the company got tired of losing money and put prices back up. And then those rivals could go back to competing. And if Amazon tried to keep the loss leader going indefinitely by cross-subsidizing the losses with high margin profits from some other parts of its business, rivals could sell those high margin goods at a lower margin, which would lure away Amazon customers and cut the supply lines for the price war it was fighting with its discounted products. That's what the model predicted, but it's not what happened in the real world. In the real world, Amazon was able to use its access to the capital markets to embark on scorched earth predatory pricing campaigns. When Diapers.com refused to sell out to Amazon, the company casually committed $100 million to selling diapers below cost. Diapers.com went bust. Amazon bought it for pennies on the dollar and shut it down. Investors got the message. Don't compete with Amazon. They can remain predatory longer than you can remain solvent. There's a saying in the stock market that the stock market can remain irrational longer than you can stay solvent. If any of you watched The Big Short, it's about a guy. He's convinced that this market is going to go down, and he's putting money in against the market, and he kept having to add to his positions, and it worked out for him. But in so many instances, you can be right, but your timing can be wrong. And you might be right that a stock is gonna fall, and you might start shorting it, and then it goes up and it goes up and it goes up, and you don't know. You got to make a decision. Do you add to it? Do you cut your losses and cover? Because it could just keep going up. But then fast forward 6 months down the road, it could have collapsed. You could have been right. And Amazon, after reading this article, and I already knew this, especially after watching that video and talking about it a few videos ago. Amazon is like, you're getting in bed with the devil, in my opinion. If for example, and I'm going to be telling things out of order, but I had a book that I didn't know I had. And I've sold one of these before, and I don't remember. I maybe sold it for $30 or $40. This was probably like 6 or 7 months ago. So I go on eBay. I see, there's one for $100 on eBay. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what caused me to go and look at Amazon. That same book was $175 on Amazon. And we're gonna get down about why that's a huge problem. But investors got the message: don't compete with Amazon. Now, not everyone shared the antitrust establishment's confidence that Amazon couldn't create a durable monopoly with market power. 2017, Linda Kahn, then a third-year law student, published Amazon's Antitrust Paradox, a landmark paper arguing that Amazon had all the tools it needed to amass monopoly power. This is a quote from the New York Times. Even as Amazon became one of the largest retailers in the country, it never seemed interested in charging enough to make a profit. Customers celebrated and the competition languished. That's from the New York Times. Amazon now captures 40% of online shopping. This has to be hurting our numbers. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. Sometimes I say that eBay is never going to be Amazon, and that eBay isn't even competition with Amazon. And we're going to be talking about Temu in this video as well. The video that I'm going to link is all about Temu, and there's some pretty remarkable things in this video that I never even considered. But Temu's rise, and it has kind of come out of nowhere. Like a year ago, I don't think I'd ever heard of them. Even if Temu isn't even though Temu is not our direct competition, in a way, they are. And I used to not think that, and I was wrong about that. As Temu continues to grow, and as Amazon just continues to dominate, 46% of all online shopping is Amazon. Like, just think about that for a minute. That is staggering. Now, the people that are spending the money on Amazon and Temu and these other platforms, even though we might not be selling the same exact things, we're vying for those same customers' discretionary income. So if people are spending their money on Amazon and spending their money on Temu, they have less money to actually spend on Amazon. That's one more. I could list the economy, eBay throttling sales and what the changes that they've made to their platform in an effort to model Amazon's algorithm and the way they do business. So we're going to come back to some of this stuff. Here's what we know for sure about Amazon's retail business. First, merchants can't live without Amazon. We saw in that video how in the early 2000s or in the mid 2000s, eBay basically went to publishers and mafia styled them into giving them another, at that time, it was like another 2 or 3%, or I can't remember, maybe it was another 6%. And when you think about promoted listings, like another 6%, I don't know what people I don't know what the average across the board for promoted listings are, but, I think 2 or 4 or 6% isn't even that much in the grand scheme of things. But back then it was a lot. But merchants can't live without Amazon. The majority of households have Prime, and 90% of Prime households start their e-commerce searches on Amazon. I don't have Prime. And I only have access to Prime because my daughter has Prime, and she gives us one of her passwords to be able to watch stuff. I would never spend the money on that. In fact, complete side note, I had a sponsor come to me, Gyropack, and it didn't work out because they're not in Canada. And I know that James uses them, or he's an affiliate for them, and he recommends them. And if it wasn't going to be a difficult situation, like they would have to either send it to the States and I would have to go and pick it up, or I would have to buy it on Amazon and then they would reimburse me. But the shipping was ridiculous because I just didn't even feel good about giving money to Amazon that way. What was the other thing that I was going to buy? Oh, I was earlier in the week, before I had really deep dived into this, or maybe it was even 10 days ago, I was actually thinking about trying to get back on Amazon to sell, because when I saw that book and what they were asking for on Amazon for $176, even though I know it's not worth that, I thought, well, maybe I should just, go on there and, take advantage. You're basically gouging the customers, which I don't think is right to begin with. It's a horrible customer experience, but everybody's doing it, right? It's like if you're not selling on Amazon, you're not capitalizing on their customer base, their whole network. But to me, it feels really dirty. Like, I don't know. I don't think I want to go down that road personally. Where was I? 90% of Prime households start their e-commerce searches on Amazon. If they find what they're looking for, they buy it and stop. Thus, merchants who don't sell on Amazon just don't sell. This is called Monopsony. Man, that word looks so weird. Monopsony. Monopsony, power. And it's a lot easier to maintain than monopoly power. For most manufacturers, a 10% overnight drop in sales is a catastrophe. So a retailer that commands a 10% market share can extract huge concessions from its suppliers. Amazon's share of most categories of goods is a lot higher than 10%. Now I'm going to give you a definition of monopsony. Monopsony, just say it. Just say it. It just sounds weird. Monopsony power exists when one buyer faces little competition from other buyers for that labor or good. So they are able to set wages or prices for the labor of goods that they are buying at a level lower than would be the case in a competitive market. So essentially, what that author was saying, that Amazon has that it's not a true competitive market. It's a market that Amazon owns, and Amazon dictates the prices. What kind of monopsony power does Amazon wield? Well, for one thing, it is able to levy a huge tax on its sellers and add up all the junk fee Amazon charges its platform sellers, and it comes out to 45 to 51%. I've joked in a number of videos about what does eBay really want? Like, it seems like they want, I've even speculated, they want up 30 to 50% of your earnings. They want to, with promoted listings, this is the model that they are trying to copy from Amazon. And I find it highly ironic. And the whole point of this article is it starts talking about the lawsuit or the antitrust or whatever the thing that is going on against Amazon. It would be ironic if Amazon is found to be doing shady things against the consumer and eBay is trying to model that same thing. Fingers crossed that that's what happens with Amazon. Monopolies in general are not good. But what Amazon has it is like the monopoly of all monopolies. It is scary. If you watch that video and you see how much, all the things Bezos has his hands in, it is super scary. So competitive businesses just don't have 45% margins. No one can afford to kick that much back to Amazon. What is a merchant to do? Sell on Amazon and you lose money on every sale. Don't sell on Amazon and you don't get any business. The only solution is to raise your prices, which people on eBay, they talk, well, if I'm going to promote, then I'm just going to pass that. I'm going to raise my prices. How is that how is that a good customer experience? eBay talks about good customer, we want good customer experiences. And that was another thing that I came across. I came across some really big sellers and looked at their feedback. And I don't know if I'm going to have time to find them. And the one seller, it was a video on YouTube. It was a guy who sells sports cards, and I think his claim was he was the biggest seller in all of it on all of eBay. And his feedback, like the numbers, the transactions, and all the feedback, it supports that. But the feedback, like the negative feedbacks that these like people have and what people say about them, it's horrible. Like, I get when you get to that size, it's difficult to provide the best customer service for every little thing that you do, but I mean, it's shocking. After all, prime customers, the majority of Amazon's retail business, don't shop for competitive prices. If Amazon wants a 45% VIG, you can raise your Amazon prices by a third and just about break even. Okay, so here's where I was going to tell my story. Oh, and the funny thing was, I was going to tell us my story about that graphic novel that I had that I saw was for $175. So I priced mine at $90, below the one that was on eBay. I don't feel like it's worth that. And then recently somebody added it to their watch list, and I sent them like a 15% offer, and he still didn't buy it. So, what's it really worth, right? And that's not the first time that I've noticed that things that I sell on eBay, every once in a while I'll occasionally go look and check what the prices are for those things on Amazon, and they're oftentimes like double what I'm asking for on eBay. But Amazon is wise to that. They have a most favored nation rule that punishes. I was shocked by this. Most favored nation rule that punishes suppliers who sell goods more cheaply in rival stores or even on their own site. The punishment varies from banishing your products to page 10 million of search results to simply kicking you off the platform. With publishers, Amazon reserves the right to lower the prices they set when listing their books to match the lowest priced on the web and paying publishers less for each sale. Okay, so I know it's not going to be one complete take, Darth. I know you've been dying for me to do a one take video, but 23 minutes, I feel like I'm missing something. I need to just stop and check something. Okay, so this means that suppliers who sell on Amazon, which is anyone who wants to stay in business, have to dramatically hike their prices on Amazon. And when they do, they also have to hike their prices everywhere else. No wonder Prime customers don't bother to search anywhere else but Prime. Now, Amazon says this is all wrong. That 45 to 51% VIG they claim from business customers is barely enough to break even. The company's profits, they insist, come from selling AWS cloud services. The retail operation is just a public service they provide to us with cross-subsidy from those fat AWS margins. That is a hell of a claim. Last year, Amazon raked in $130 billion in seller fees. In other words, they booked more revenues from junk fees than Bank of America made through its whole operation. Amazon's junk fees add up to more than all of Meta's revenue. Amazon claims that none of this is profit. It's just covering their operating expenses. According to Amazon, its non-AWS units combined have a 1% profit margin. Now, that is an eye-opening claim. Indeed, Amazon is a publicly traded company which means that it has to make thorough quarterly and annual financial disclosures breaking down its profits and loss. You'd think that somewhere in those disclosures we'd find some details. You'd think so, but you'd be wrong. Amazon's disclosures do not break out profits and losses by segment. SEC rules actually require the company to make those per segment disclosures. Gotta pause this. Somebody bought something, canceled because he used the wrong payment, and now he wants to reorder, so I need to do that. All right, so basically Amazon is not, they're being very non-transparent with where they're getting their revenues from. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit because this is very similar to what PDD does. If you don't know who PDD is, it's Pinduoduo, which is the parent company of Temu. Now, the video link in the description, it is very interesting because Temu has kind of come out of nowhere. And I did not even know that their parent company, PDD, trades on the stock market under the ticker symbol PDD. Did you know that? I didn't know that. And so I watched this documentary, and I've got notes on this. So there's some very interesting things that go on there. And I want to say in the comment section, keep it business related. My kids are half Chinese. So I don't, nothing, race, anything, and no comments like that will be tolerated. I just kind of want to make that disclaimer. This is a case study, and it's, every company out there it does shady stuff. Look at what eBay did to, I'm blanking on her name, on that family's name that they terrorized. But there's some facts in here that will get tied into eBay and Amazon and the whole e-commerce kind of like environment. So we're going to switch gears, but I'm going to come back to the Amazon because I have more notes and more things to say on that. So PDD went from 0 to 20% of their market, and what it is in a very short amount of time. And basically what they are in China, they're kind of like an online dollar store. There are questions about the way it was founded, the way it's structured, the way it interacts with investors. They're even more shady, providing information to analysts, Wall Street, where even their headquarters are. So on February 27, 2024, this is when this information came out. They were nearly double Shopify's market cap in billions. So they're a player in, it's not like they're in China and, we don't have to worry about them. We have to worry about them. So it goes Amazon, Alibaba, and PDD. And then Temu is essentially PDD's overseas kind of like division that they've kind of like broke off. And Temu's in 50 countries right now. So right now, 56. So at the time of this video in February, there were 56 Wall Street analysts covering PDD. 53 of them rate it as a buy. Now, when I get around to showing you the stock on that, it is very speculative. That's me putting it kindly. And that source was Bloomberg about the analysts. And there's so little info on the company. There's no financial details on Temu's business. They give very little away on their earnings calls. This is what is fascinating. So 2 years ago, they were worth $400 billion in gross merchandise value. We talk about GMV all the time in relation to eBay. So 2 years ago, they were worth 400 billion. Now, trying to determine what they make now, we don't know. In fact, the story was saying, is it as big as Amazon now? And Amazon was 750 billion at the time. They were saying, is it as big as Amazon and Walmart combined, which is 1.5 trillion? Or is it as big as the Italian economy at 2.2 trillion? Because they were showing a graph of where it was 2 years ago. And if you know anything about exponential growth, we don't know. We have no idea what they made. And so PDD made a statement, we stopped releasing GMV as it becomes less of a reliable indicator of corporate performance. My response to that, WTF? How is it less of a reliable indicator? Like, aren't sales the primary driving figure of every yardstick that measures whether or not your company is actually doing well? An analyst at Bernstein Research, how they come by their how this particular analyst comes by the financial numbers of Temu is a triangulation of data. Like this like reminds me of the YouTube community in 2023 collectively trying to figure out what the hell is going on at eBay. Like this guy uses a triangulation of data points from merchants, logistical providers, industry contacts, e-commerce trade, and some management access that the analyst has. So he's trying to like take data from each of these segments to try to like make a best guess as to how much they're worth now. And yet we don't even know where their headquarters are. Some say PDD's executive office is in Dublin, Ireland. And yet when journalists have gone there, they couldn't get access to the first floor. It was like in a building, and on the side of the building, it didn't even say PDD, Ping Dao Dao as it was like another holding company. And they couldn't get in to get any kind of like statements from anyone. Temu claims it was founded in Boston. I really hardly think that's not the true. Now this next statistic is nuts when you think about it. So how many people, trying to determine how many people PDD employs, 13,000 people is the number that's been put out there. Now, I've already told you that some people are speculating that PDD does as much as Amazon or more. Maybe Amazon plus Walmart or even more than that. But they have 13,000 employees. Alibaba has hundreds of thousands. And Amazon has $1.5 million. I'm sorry, 1.5 million employees. PDD has 13,000. So the point that this guest or on this video was trying to convey is that trying to determine how PDD can do what it does with a massively small workforce. He kind of made a joke like that they're going to have to rewrite, business schools are going to have to rewrite textbooks if they really truly are making the money that some are speculating that they're making based on how many employees they actually have. They're spending way more on Avenue than revenue with PDD. And it's working with PDD now, and they're trying that same approach with Temu. I mean, Temu is everywhere. and like the Super Bowl ads. So I made a note in here how this could be very dangerous if it works. Because in 2 to 3 years, Amazon and Temu could be the two, in my opinion, they could be the two most dominant forces in e-commerce. And so my thoughts were, if Temu is able to accomplish what it's, trying to set out to do, how much more money in consumers' pockets are going to be left over for other websites like eBay, Posh, other things like that, right? So Temu in 2023, they did 17 billion. It's 1/3 of Shein, which I don't know anything about Shein. I only have heard of them recently when on the eBay analyst call, somebody asked them the impacts of Shein and Temu and what Jamie Iannone thought of that, and he really downplayed it. And as I said, this is something that I agreed with, whereas eBay is not Temu is not a direct competitor of eBay, but it really, at the end of the day, anything that is taking money out of other consumers' pocketbook that they can't spend on other things is a competitor. So Temu does 17 in 2023, did 17 billion. eBay did 73 in 2023. But think about this. Temu has only been around for, I can't even remember now. I've seen so many figures, like 3 or 4 years. So it's already almost a quarter in revenue. So Temu is a case study, and why it is significant is if it can replicate Shein's rise of making shopping fun, cheap, easy, it could be a potentially a disruptive force for online marketplaces for players like Amazon, as Shein has been for fast fashion. Competitors have been asked what they think of Temu. Jamie's conference call, the CEO of Etsy, raised questions and kind of was like, he kind of joked about not joked, but he kind of was like saying how he doesn't feel that what Temu is spending on advertising, that it's actually worth what they're getting back. And maybe that's true for now. But I mean, I literally just read that Temu was Facebook Marketplace's or not, Meta's single biggest advertiser. Like, I cannot imagine spending that kind of money on ads with the intention of not getting back something significant. And essentially what Temu is trying to do is they're basically, when you look at brands like Gap, North Face, or the cost of developing, the cost of advertising, the cost of marketing, Temu is trying to strip away all that and go right to the manufacturer, and they use algorithms. There's that word again, algorithms, to predict what consumers want, cut out the brands, which cut out that cost, fees, cost structure, and ship directly from factories to shoppers. And one thing I can't personally understand is how they can get that stuff from there to here in an economical shipping and handling kind of way. Because when I think about how much it is to ship from BC to the Maritimes, like Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, or any of those, it is like $23 to do that. And yet I could ship a book, media mail, to Florida for $6-7. But obviously, but I'm just saying, like, the shipping costs are so nuts when you think about just inside North America. So I found that video pretty interesting from a business standpoint. So the video. So check that out if you want. So let's go back to Amazon. Amazon is the poster child for monopoly run amok. As Yanis Varoufakis writes in Techno-Feudalism, Amazon has actually become a post-capitalistic enterprise. Amazon doesn't make profits, money derived from selling goods. It makes rents, money charged to people who are seeking to make profits. Profits are the defining characteristic of a capitalist economy. Rents are the defining characteristics of feudalism. And if you don't know what feudalism is, I have a definition here. It is a system in which people were given land and protection by people of higher rank, kings and whatnot, and worked and fought for them in return. As feudalism decayed in the West, it gave rise to a mercantile class. Amazon looks like a bazaar where thousands of merchants offer goods for sale to the public, but look harder and you discover that all of those stall holders are totally controlled by Amazon. Amazon decides what goods they can sell, how much they cost, and whether a customer ever sees them. Now, I know there has been discussion about throttling and, why, I know Pete's done some videos on throttling, and maybe throttling is, maybe we need a new definition for throttling. It's not necessarily that eBay is harboring something against me when my items aren't being shown. It's more of matter of the items are being shown in a new way, which is not necessarily beneficial to resellers. It's completely, and it's not natural, it's not organic. It's that eBay they're trying to determine how they can make the most money by showing different items, even if a customer is not searching for that item, which is not a good buyer experience in my opinion. But Amazon decides what goods are being seen. eBay decides what goods are being seen. Like, essentially, that's throttling. They can determine whether your items are not being seen based on a number of different things. And then Amazon takes 45 to 51% out of every dollar. Amazon's marketplace isn't like a flea market. It's more like an interconnected shops on Disneyland's Main Street, USA. The sign over the door might say 20th Century Music Company or Emporium, but they're all just one store run by one company. And because Amazon has so much control over its sellers, it is able to exercise power over its buyers. Amazon search results push down the best deals on the platform and promote results from more expensive, lower quality items whose sellers have paid a fortune for an ad. Not really an ad, but rather the top spot in search listings. That's why Jack and I, we constantly laugh when eBay talks about their advertising revenue. It's not advertising revenue. It is just, you're paying for placement now. eBay is just essentially saying, we want more money. We want more of your money. We want more of your profit. We're actually not even doing anything more for it. We're doing less than we were doing pre-April, but we want more money. And buyer be damned, like they're going to get the results that they are going to get are not even the best, not even in the best interest of them. This is Amazon's pricing paradox. Amazon can claim that it offers low-priced, high-quality goods on the platform, but it makes $38 billion per year pushing those good deals away, way down in its search results. The top results for your Amazon search average is 29% more expensive than the best deal Amazon offers. Buy something from those first 4 spots, and you'll pay a 25% premium on average. You need to pick the 17th item on the search results page to get the best deal. And essentially the bottom line is, this is why Amazon's in trouble right now. Because the US government is looking out for the consumers. They don't care. They don't really care about the sellers. They're looking at it from a monopoly and whether or not, Amazon is doing the best thing that it can do by its customers, or is it taking advantage of its customers because the buyers have so much faith that what Amazon is doing is in their best interest. In some ways, the story of Amazon's sustained and growing dominance is also the story of changes in our antitrust laws. Due to a change in legal thinking and practice in the 70s and 80s, and we're almost done with this, antitrust law now accesses competition largely with an eye to the short-term interest of consumers, not producers or the health of the market as a whole. Antitrust doctrines view low consumer prices alone to be evidence of sound competition. By this measure, Amazon has excelled. It has evaded government scrutiny in part through fervently devoting its business strategy and rhetoric to reducing prices for customers. Amazon's closest encounter with antitrust authorities was when the Justice Department sued other companies for teaming up against Amazon. It is as if Bezos charted the company's growth by first drawing a map of antitrust laws and then devising routes to smoothly bypass them. With its missionary zeal for consumers, Amazon has marched toward monopoly by singing the tune of contemporary antitrust. All right, that was a lot. Before we go any further, let's have a little bit of comic relief. My dad, he sent me some pictures. And this is me. I don't even know how old I was here. I want to say 5. Look at that. Look at that outfit. Me at 5? Let's just say 5, 5.5. How cute am I, right? I'll show you more another time. I got my some of my graduation photos. Yeah. So what do we make of all this? Like, is this even information that, like, I feel like there's a lot in there. There's a lot to digest, and there was a lot I left out. Maybe Temu and Amazon, the economy, eBay shenanigans. There are other reasons that some of us are experiencing, some of us aren't experiencing the sales that we're experiencing. But if Temu is able to pull off what it's doing, in my opinion, it's very bad. It's very, it's very bad because what they're like in the video, they were talking about like the kinds of things that they produce and how they're very short shelf life products that encourage more buying, which is not good for the environment, right? And I mean, we don't need more. Personally, I think advertising is like one of the biggest wastes of money in the world. I understand the need for it for businesses, like, the whole Subway Quiznos thing. Subway's advertising, they're expanding. Quiznos is not advertising. Lots of people don't even know that they exist. I get that advertising is you need it, but it's also such a waste of money, right? That's why I remember when I was young, the concept of network marketing was so appealing. Why not give that money to people to promote a brand? But it's also an ineffective business plan, in my opinion, because most people are lazy. And I mean, it's true. I mean, I'm lazy a lot of the times, but yeah, I don't know. I want to hear. I'm very interested to see what your guys' thoughts are on a lot of this information. let me turn this around. I'm gonna quickly look at some of the stock price, some of the stocks of some of these companies, and see if we can determine where this sector is going to be going based on the number of charts I'm going to look at. All right, I hear Maria upstairs. I think she's on not Skype, but Facebook. What's that thing called? Where you talk? Anyhow, FaceTime. Jeez, oh man. I can hear her singing to the baby. So we have to start with the Dow Jones. This is a long. This is like from 2004 monthly chart. This is the entire markets are so extended. We're in the longest bull run without any significant pullback. 75% of the stocks are going to go with whatever the general markets are doing. And if this is not a concern for you if you're an investor, I don't, this to me, this is why I'm not in the markets right now. I thought the markets after the bounce back of COVID, I'm just like, I thought the markets were overextended prior to COVID happening. Now, I mean, the Wall Street just seems like a shell game. Everything's a shell game. Life is a shell game. But let's look at eBay. So I don't know. I'm very concerned about this. And if the markets in general start to pull back, that's going to affect people's wallets. E-commerce is going to suffer. That's going to be a sector that 100% is going to suffer. Now, let's just say this. When people have less money, people should be shopping on eBay. In my opinion, they should be shopping on eBay because you can get deals there. If sellers didn't have to be raising their prices to pay the mafia promoted listings. So this is eBay. So we've had a let's see here, like a nice 20% move off of these lows. Now, essentially right now, for this stock, this is a pretty big move in 2 weeks, and it's bumped right up into resistance. So let me see if I can show you something. So right here, this is a candlestick. This white part is the body. This is not a good chart to show you guys. But essentially the previous high, it closed during the week, it went up to 50 and then it sold off down to 48, and we're right at that previous high. That's what's going to be considered resistance. And given the magnitude of this move up, I would expect some pullback. I would expect actually sideways movement. It'll probably come back down and it'll probably go sideways for a while, because in reality, what has actually driven this price up? eBay's not reporting. They haven't. Earnings were mute. Promoted listings is only going to get you so far. I think this was a short-term snap reaction. I don't really know. I guess it's maybe eBay is more of a security play at this point. I don't really understand why this stock went up like this. Do I think it's sustainable? I don't. But we will see. This is the monthly chart. This is actually not a bad looking chart. When we look at some of the others, so let's go to PDD. This is the weekly chart of PDD, and I would not touch this just because of the volatility. I don't like volatility in my investing. I don't like, these kinds of moves are just, they can cause a lot of anxiety. So yeah, this chart to me is a mess. Amazon, it's running into resistance as well. This was a very big move off of these lows. Can it go higher? Yeah, but it's going to need some time to digest these gains. Etsy's chart, Etsy's chart's a bit of a mess. Shopify, yeah, it released earnings, but this chart is a mess. So the majority of these stocks in the sector and sectors, stocks inside the same sectors often trade very similarly. That's just the way it goes. So none of these stocks are like exhibiting to me. They're not screaming bullish. Let's go back to eBay. Ironically enough, eBay's chart looks the most stable. It looks like it just looks like a blue chip stock that is just, it's in an uptrend, but it's not screaming bullish. And when you look at all the other things, when you look at all the other factors, and then you add in the general market as being extremely overbought, I just have concerns for the sector in general. So you just have to keep an eye on it. And I don't really, I would be cautious if I was investing in this sector in general, but eBay actually kind of looks like the safest bet right now. But knowing what I know about the platform, I have my own reservations about that. All right, I want to show you a couple things that my brother-in-law was going to throw this away. No, he was going to donate this Notorious B.I.G. cassette. I had no idea that this was worth what it was worth. I mean, this thing sells for like $80 to $100, and so I was trying a little bit of an experiment. I listed this tape on District, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, eBay, Etsy, and Carrot. I just was like, I'm going to list it on all of these platforms and see where it's sold. And it ended up selling on Marketplace. But here's what happened. So on my Marketplace ad, I had this, and then I had this Tupac Me Against the World cassette, and this Outcast. I left them in my draft so you could see them. And I just had them all in the same listing with individual prices. And somebody from Calgary messaged me. I don't even know how he saw it, to be honest. And he bought all three of them. He made me an offer for $150 for all three, and I was like, within a week, within less than a week, it sold on Marketplace. And this kind of goes with what I've said in the past, where if I have high sell-through items, eBay is the last place I want to sell these things on. Because why do I want to pay the fees? Why do I want to pay the the final value fees and the promoted listing fees? Because they're gonna sell. And I just thought it was so crazy that somebody came along on Marketplace and bought all three of them. There was another thing I wanted to show you. Oh yes, okay. So one night my brother-in-law brought over some stuff that he thought was good, and then he had a bag that we were gonna throw away, and luckily I didn't. I ended up going through it, and there was some awesome stuff that you got, like down the road, you guys are gonna see it sell. So I'm probably gonna show some what sold, like I said, in a video tomorrow. But anyhow, so this was cologne. It's vintage cologne, but it was still encased in like a plastic thing, and these things sell on eBay. La Costa Original 3.3 fluid ounce. The prices were kind of all over the place. I did list this on eBay, but I also listed it on Marketplace, and somebody came along and made me an offer for was it 60 or 70? might have been 60, but not too bad for pulling it out of the garbage. And well, I mean, it didn't make it into the garbage, but keeping it out of the garbage, I guess, is the better way of phrasing it. And you just, it just goes to show you just never know what people are gonna buy or what's desirable. And I just thought it was interesting that a couple of these things sold on Marketplace before they sold on eBay. Oh, another thing is I have this for sale. So I have this. I picked this up at a thrift store, paid not a lot for it. And I have this listed on eBay District and Etsy. And I actually have 3, and I just listed it. So yeah, I do have my Etsy account up. I can't remember if I've talked to you guys since I've got that up and running. I have a couple things listed on there. I'm taking it slow. It's a little different than eBay. I don't actually like the listing process. It's actually, I never thought I'd say this. It's easier to list on eBay than it is on Etsy, at least from my experience. Maybe that's just because I'm more used to it. But anyhow, I have this listed on eBay, and 3 people have added it to their watch list on Etsy. And then somebody contacted me tonight on Marketplace. I think they're interested. I mean, I know they're interested. I gave them my best price, and I'm going to see if they're going to come and check it out tomorrow. But if this sells locally before it sells on eBay and Etsy, I would be shocked. And that would be very telling to me that these platforms, especially eBay, because I haven't had anybody message me on eBay. I don't even know if I have any watchers on eBay. I'll have to check. But I'll keep you guys updated on this. Other than that, guys, sales have been good. I mean, actually, last week they were kind of crappy. But when you look at the big picture, I'm still chasing to get back to even on my account. I'm down 5.6% for this year versus this time for this year versus last year on my account. But Maria's account, I'm up 26%. And so things aren't horrible, but I've just been spending so much time. It takes time listing and on multiple platforms, and still having to do some sort of reset. Like I do a couple rounds when I wake up, and I do maybe 1 or 2 rounds later on in the evening. I have found that's been working for me to maintain a certain amount of page views and sales. So, but it's just everything, it just takes time now. And I've been really trying to get through this inventory that I've been receiving, and that's really what's been keeping me away, because I don't know when my mother-in-law is going to call me again to go and get more stuff, and I have more stuff that I need to do. So anyhow, guys, take care. Share this if you think it's share worthy. Comment if you've got something that you feel that you want to say about the information that was in here. I thought it was pretty fascinating. I'm finding that I'm really kind of interested in e-commerce and kind of like everything that goes on with it, much more than I thought I was. And yeah, so take care, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.